Hello YouTube friends, welcome to the Red Parrot channel. I am your host, Mary Ellen. This is an episode of at K3N Cloth Tales Weekly Slow Stitch 2024, and this is week 2, the finishing of week 2. At K3N Cloth Tales is here on YouTube. She's also on Instagram, and I think she has a Stitch dedicated Facebook page as well. I do not Facebook, but I certainly do YouTube, and I am very happy to have this as a thing for 2024 because I had wanted to get back to stitching. So where are we at? So here's where we're at so far. And what have I done? So this is what I have done. This was about balance, and she created like a circle, and then inside the circle to like a light and a dark, which I used. These are linen. This is eco dyed. I don't know. I will no longer know how to pronounce anything by the end of this challenge. Just so we're clear. So I dyed it. Back is a sheet. This is the back of the stitching. And so the purple threads go this way, and they will transfer at the median to continue doing lines this way. And the peach goes up and down, and then across the median, it also goes up and down. So that's first part, and so first thing we need to do is finish off the purple. And so I have help, because I surely do like a straight line. Anybody who sees me junk journaling knows that I do love a straight line. And so in order to get said straight line, we can do things like this. So this is the median line. You can line it up, and I can line it up with the thread here. Now I can do something like I can make a space, and I can do a pencil line. I can do all kinds of stuff. However, my method for the solution is kind of fun. So I use washi tape. Beautiful, non-sticky, kind of sticky long enough washi tape. And that's going to go down like that, and it is going to give me the temporary line on which I need to sew. I need some purple thread. Yep, okay, here we are. Don't need any more. Is this 2? This is 2, okay. So I use that as a method because, why because? Because, well, it's not the first time I've used it. That's, I think, the why. And I have off to the side here a coat that I am making. A Boro inspired coat that I will show you once we get some of this done. And there is a lot of stitching on it. What do I want to do here? I want to do that. Doesn't really matter. And I used chalk lines for a while, and they didn't suit me. And then I finally snapped, and I went, I need to do this quicker and more efficiently. And then I came up with washi tape, because notoriously in the junk journaling world, what do we say about washi? Well, it doesn't really stick. Okay, well, if it doesn't really stick, then it's going to be perfect for fabric. And so it is. And you can get like 2 or 3 uses out of this. Like I'll be able to do the next row using this piece. And what I am doing, though it doesn't look it, is I am offsetting the stitches. So anybody who is unfamiliar. So if you do all of your stitching like that, the fabric will naturally pucker here and pucker here and pucker here. But if you offset them, kind of like you're laying bricks, you don't get that puckering. So that's the offset, and that is the non-offset. You could probably use that for like smocking as well. If you think about that patterning and then you pull all the threads and you get like this even place where the fabric comes up. I don't want smocking. I want something flat. So there we are. And I went through all of my embroidery thread trying to find the right colors. And as a result of that, I found one of my thimbles. So I've been using the green one. Green one? Blue one? I don't know. You can get them in a bunch of different sizes because heaven forbid anybody should make a proper thimble anymore. I have my Nana's. She was a seamstress. And it is a proper thimble. It kind of fits me, but it's so precious that I don't use it, which I should probably do. There. Anyways, the other one was just a hair big for me, and this is a one that fits. And there we have our generally straight line. So let's keep going. All we need to do is line her up to the last one. Horseshoes and hand grenades. And off we go. And I always got to punch this close to my face so that I can get going properly. So I should talk about this coat, I suppose, while we're doing this, so that when I show it to you, you have some context for it. Well, that was a little bit off. Oh well. One of the sports that I really like is baseball. And a friend of mine and I have share of season tickets. So we don't go all of the games, but we go to a good share of them. And that way, no one person has to pay a ridiculous amount of money, and we share it amongst people. Common practice. And a couple years ago, the team, to celebrate home runs, created a fun coat. And that coat had, it's, the name of it is La Gentos de Berrios, which is the people of the village-ish. And it was a great coat. It's navy, lots of color, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, long story short, they don't use the coat anymore. But by that time, I was interested in creating my own coat, because among other things that I do outside of junk journaling is costuming. And so I thought, ooh, I'll do that. That'll be fun. And then I won't have to worry about replicating something that is now out of fashion, but I should be able to create something that is team-oriented and unique and funky. And so I started down the journey of, well, what kind of a coat am I going to make? What's it going to look like? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I what did I do? How did I get to this point? I think it was possibly during the you-know-what, the pandemic. And there was just an opportunity to look at and see a whole bunch of different kinds of things to keep us busy, and one of them being I am looking at textiles all the time, and it's like, oh, I like that. That looks fun. And is stitching and creative and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I became sort of aware of it. And then I got a book. And the book still does, pages aren't gone, patterns. And one of the things that I am interested in, because I also weave, and I think if you're a textile nerd or, you know, a fiber nerd, you do a lot of looking at everything. And one of the things that fascinates me is the use of the rectangle across cultures to create garments. And how do they solve the problem of creating a textile and then using it? And so one of the things that cultures do is they use the rectangle, because the rectangle is the easiest way to make fabric, and it is the most efficient use of it. So if we are thinking about this circle, and I am going to create a circle skirt, I am going to waste all of this other fabric because the circle is a curve. But if I am using a rectangle, all I have to do is take this and pleat it. So pleat skirts are all over the world. The Scottish tartan certainly comes to mind, but there's also the hanbok that is also beautifully pleated. And the Japanese tradition is also using rectangles. If you look at a kimono is a pile of rectangles. And rectangles are super easy to figure out and to make a garment from. And certainly I have some experience with it, and so even simpler for me. It's like, oh, it's a rectangle, got it. Do some measurements, blah, 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 boom, you're done. But I also wanted to embellish it. I wanted to use, and I think Catherine uses this phrase that I really appreciate, inspired by. So it is not a borrow coat. It is inspired by. And that inspired by is really, really important, because there is a time and a place and an experience, a life experience that happened for the peoples that created that to start with. So they had no additional textile, they were poor, a whole bunch of terrible economic factors went into them needing to repair their clothing until the original, oops, not Mayday, still there, needing to repair their fabrics. Whereas this is creating that look, and that look is purely for the purposes of fashion. Okay, here we are, and I could do one more. Yeah, I could probably do one more. See, I don't know that you can see them, but I have these little pencil dots here, and that's where the actual 6 inches of the 6-inch square is. So I am certain that at some point we're going to have to, well, you know what? We have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen. How I'm going to finish this. I just know that I'm making some squares at the moment. But that just allows me to finish the stitching and then not go any further. So back to the coat. Boro is often using denim, indigo dyed material, cotton. And in today's society, if we go looking for %100% cotton denim, it's tricky. Because we have, as my mother would say, a culture of avoir du poids, which if you are French, you know as being having poundage or having pounds. And so the idea of having cotton is very non-stretchy, but if you put in like a % or so of some kind of lycra or spandex or whatever, oh wow, that was a mess. Do I care? I don't really care. Oh yes, I do. There. You can have a much more pleasant time wearing very tight-fitting jean-looking jeans. And so if you go and you start looking for, well, I want to have some jeans, and you go thrifting for them, it's not going to fit. That's all right. We'll just start, and then we'll end where we need to end. Get some more thread. Okay, and I'm just going to do another setup on this side. Yeah, it is straight. I just want to make sure. So finding actual denim at the thrift store is tricky. 100% cotton denim, that is. So getting the material took me more time than I really expected. But then you get it, and then you chop it up, and you do the things, and then you do the sewing, and so on and so forth. And so I have multiple friends who are baseball fans. Pardon me while I just get this. No, I should start on this end. There. And so one of my other friends has seen the coat, or seen the pieces of the coat, and he is massively excited to be able to see this. Among other things, he has, his wife is Japanese, and his in-laws are Japanese, so he is on board and understands a certain amount of the ethos of the coat, and he's also a huge baseball fan. And so, the last time he saw the coat, which is not the last time I saw him, that detail is neither here nor there. I was getting close to the point where I was in some projects, you know how you get momentum and it's like, ooh, you know what? We're just gonna get her done. We're just gonna go. And this was close to the point where the team, the actual baseball team for whom this coat is being created so that I can go to the games and wear it, was getting close to the playoffs. And sadly, they did not make the playoffs that year, nor this year. And so I am now in Am I protesting it? I don't know that I'm protesting it, but I'm certainly, let's call it unmotivated. I am unmotivated to finish this coat until such time as they can get their collective baseball act together and make the playoffs. Making the playoffs isn't that difficult. It's slightly harder than the NHL, which is hockey. We have a decent team, but we just did not get it together this year. And so I didn't finish the coat. And the coat still remains unfinished. So perhaps as I have the needle in my hand on a more regular basis, I will get to the point where this coat is finished, or gets finished. And if it does, of course, I will show everybody here. Because I am not going to do all of this storytelling and then not show you the coat. Certainly once it gets finished. And it's really easy to do that pink line, not pink, peach line there. The purple is staggered, but it's the way it is. It's the way it is. The other thing about this coat, oops, I have a magnet on my scissors so that I don't lose my needle. The other thing about this coat is that I am embroidering the team logo on the back. And for anybody new here, the family expression, the family motto is anything worth doing is worth overdoing. And so when this is done, I will have a hand-sewn, hand-embellished team coat. My friend, because he is the kind of person he is, we've known each other for a very, very long time. And I think there is a certain, there's a certain joy in having close friends that will always give you the gears. The British expression might be taking the mickey out of you. US expression might be busting your chops. Anyways, what did he say? Oh yeah, it's like, well, are you gonna line it? It's like, you know what? Just go away. And the answer to that is yes, I'm gonna line it. Thank you. I have, where's the edge? Here's the edge. Ooh, we're almost out of this tape. I bought probably like a queen size or a king size duvet cover that was made of linen. So I have a very, very large amount of linen, and that is currently my working possibility for the lining of this. And as I was collecting it, not the linen, the actual pieces that I've got for this coat, I realized that I don't have sleeves yet. And there was probably some really good reason why I didn't create the sleeves. I think because that's one of the things that I don't want to stitch. Because sleeves bump up against people and doorways and all that kind of stuff. And if you have this kind of stitching, you're quite likely to catch it. And while it's okay to have the coat look beat up, I think the sleeves could be spared. The tattering that will likely ensue. So all of that talk of the coat is about the threading here. We need to also discuss the couching that Catherine did in the center here. And I believe we can say it with me now. Say it with me now. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So I spin. I have a drop spindle and I do a decent amount of spinning. And I went downstairs into the caves where I keep a lot of the, I haven't used it yet, storage of spun fiber. And I have, when did I start spinning? I don't know. It's been kind of a recent thing, like in the last, I don't know, 10 years. And I have some really crappy spinning because I was learning. And you know what? A sidebar to the sidebar to the sidebar, that is totally okay. You do not need to be perfect when you start something. As I have suggested to a friend of mine, do something 500 times. And by 500 times, I mean not 500 stitches, I mean 500 pieces. Then you can give yourself, then look at the work that you're able to do. So that's an important thing to know when you are learning a new thing. But you've got to do the thing to learn the thing. And to learn the thing, you've got to do the thing poorly for a while. Because in doing it poorly, you know, you learn things. Anyways, so happy with, did not throw out the learning fiber. And then I decided, oh, well, you know what? I could probably use that as my couching because it is a lovely color. It is walnut dyed raw fleece. And the walnut color is a beautiful, it sort of goes with that shade. And then I tried to, I did spin it. So you can spin things multiple times. So not just doing the fiber, but you can take a string and spin the string, and then that becomes a new fiber and you can spin that again. So you're basically just building up the layers of threading. And so that's essentially what I did. And boy, did I learn some things. First spinning that I did, absolute awful. And I think part of that is because in spinning, you have the spin happens in a direction. So the nearest that I can think about it for anybody who doesn't spin is there is a clockwise and a counterclockwise direction of spinning. And I didn't know that persists, meaning you spin it once, you still have something in the fiber that makes it want to spin or unspin. Spin or unspin. And so I spun the first set in the wrong direction, and then to fix that, I spun it in the wrong direction again. And the mess was absolutely astounding. So we are now finished the stitching. This is sort of a close-up. It's really nice. This is the back. That's the front. And it's very subtle. Like you can tell that it's all stitched, but you can't really, it's not like this is black, so you were seeing that. You were really seeing the balance of these two colors. And you also have the balance of the contrasting way the stitching is going. I could probably cut this off. Let's just tuck it under to see what it looks like. I could, but I'm not gonna, because I don't know what my application is gonna be yet. And I might need that fabric. There. So that's what it is gonna look like. It's probably gonna hang that way. Potentially. Anyways, so there we are. Now we need to do the couching. And while I'm on the topic, so let's do this. Let us, I nearly got this all done. I'm on the last strip, aren't I? Pretty close. Good for me. All right, keep that in there. I'm going to show you the coat first. Get that out of the way. So I have done, so you know what you're looking at. Need another piece of paper. So the coat is essentially a back piece like that, and then two front pieces. And the back piece has got a logo. So that's what we're going to be looking at, just so that you're oriented. So let us do the first two front panels. So this is what the panels look like. So that's that, and then this is sort of the pocket that is from the actual fabric. And so I maintained that because it visually has interest and would be fun down. So this is like a front panel. So that's one. And everybody always wants to see the back. That's the back. And I didn't do any knots in this because with this kind of stitching, when you're doing it this way, you're basically just doing counter stitching. So you go a couple of stitches this way and then you go the rest that way. So there's that. That just plunked on the floor. And then here is the other side in the other pocket. Let's bring the pocket back. So I basically have two pockets. And so those are with the edges tied up. So they are slightly off center, and that's okay. Again, it creates that visual image of make do. This has got 3 panels and this one has got 4 panels in it. So there we are. Then I will show you the back. And so this is the bird. Oops. And that's the embroidery of the bird. And again, we'll show you the back. Showing you the back is actually more informative, I think, because you can see where I basically sewn, patchworked the pieces together and then pressed them open and then done all of the stitching on it. And so there's no obvious pocket on the back at all. But there's that. And then again, here is the top. This is a cuff that is very worn, and I am regretting putting that there because I think it will need some additional mending in very short course, and I feel like it is going to be competing with the bird. But that's the bird. Not gonna lie, heck of a thing to embroider over layers where you have these, like here, where you've got multiple layers of denim. But you know what? Pliers are your best friend. Anyways, so that's my larger project that I'm not working on because I'm not at a professional baseball team that happens to be my team. Okay, so that's that. And that's where I got the idea for doing the washi tape. So here's this back again. Okay, so this is my drop spindle. So I don't have a wheel. I just have this. It's a Lewitt. And it's 82 grams. And it is my, what I would call my working spindle. I have 2 or 3 other ones. I have a very, very light and fine one that I don't use as much because I like to have substantial yarn when I am done. So if you have a very light spindle, you get a lot of twist and you can cope with a very fine fiber. But if you have a heavy spindle, you need to have a little bit more bulk to sustain the hanging as you spin. So let us look at, this is mess number 1. Now see if you can see it. So can you see all those knots? So that is just a hyper twist. So like that little bit right there. That's just a twist on a twist. Here's another good spot where you can see that that is just, that's awful. And that was because I was twisting it in the wrong direction and basically untwisting it and then twisting it again. Don't need to do that. Everybody who isn't a spinner or understanding twist can just hear me say twist, 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 twist. That's okay. And this, much nicer. Come on, focus, focus. There, you can see that that's much nicer. And then compared to this, that's just an absolute mess. Absolute mess. So this is what I'm going to couch. Long story. It's long story short. And I've got this extra stuff now too. So I've got like a good lot of cordage length. This first beginning part's a little thin, and there's a spot here that I don't want. So I'll probably start about here. So I am going to just cut. Oh, she wants to come apart. That's all right. We'll do that for now. I'm going to do a little bit of overlapping so that I can give myself some room to play. There we are, and this really wants to come apart, and that's okay. I understand why. There. Put that together and that together. So we're going to take that off. And now, what are we looking for? Do I have anything that's... Ooh, that. So I have so much embroidery thread. So this is probably really inexpensive, crappy stuff that somebody got, I think at Walmart, and then put in the Value Village that I got. And I am an equal opportunity user. I don't really care where it came from for some of the applications. For other applications, I care dearly. But I also have really, really posh, expensive stuff from like hand-dyed, ridiculous stuff. Here. But my mom used DMC all the time, so that's how I am loyal to that brand. And I really need to wrap that onto one of these, which is a shape that I got off the internet, and then just cut a ton of cardboard bits so that I have it available. And we are going to use, what are we going to use? We're going to use 2. Because we've got to make this bomb-proof. You can't see me separating it, but it's, there we are. The other thing I came up with, or discovered that I had, maybe, it's probably a better way of saying it, is a whole pile of bits of thread. Like this is the working thread, and then I have the 4 other strands that I just put to the side. And so I'm using that to do some scrappy stitching. Just pick whatever thread is on the top, and then off we go. I don't know what I'm doing. Sure. This is a really fun way of obscuring the seam. Tomorrow was Monday, so tomorrow is the day we get a new one. Not gonna lie, it is absolutely a Monday highlight to figure out what the next prompt is. And I think I've mentioned this on the last one, but I am so excited to get started. Like once I get the idea, I will catch the rest of the video later. I am off. Like, oh, I have to do a thing, and I can do another thing, and maybe do another thing. Oh, it's gonna be great. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Where are we at here? Okay, fine. So we should couch it. I was kind of hoping that I would be able to get away with a knot. Is it gonna fit? Yes, it is. Okay. that looks okay. I had a friend of mine who is a pattern maker, a knitting pattern maker, who was part of a weaving and spinning guild for the pandemic, really, because they had Zoom calls and it was company with people that were interested in the same kinds of things that I was. Anyways, so we had a knit night, and one of the things that she would regularly tell us is, don't forget to admire your work. And as opposed to check your work to make sure that it's okay, but to admire it, to say, okay, are we going in the right direction? Does things look all right? And so I just have that in my head now. It's like, don't forget to admire your work, because the early detection of things going wrong is much more pleasant when you do it halfway through than if you get to the end and go, oh, well, that's not ideal. So the reason why I wanted to have this tail go on is because at some point I'm going to have to clip this, and I want that opportunity of being able to pick the spot and to not have just like two raw fraying ends that are going to be a mess. So I'm going to do the bulk. I'm going to get to, maybe about here, stop, come back and do to there, and then I will do the finishing of the end, which seems to be a little bit more controllable, I think is the right word. Yeah. I'm just pulling it just to make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, there we are. Oh, got 9 minutes left. Oh, there we are. It's gonna take over an hour. That's okay. Got a bit of a routine going now. Use my thumb to roll it back and forth. Yes. That was me just hanging this upside down and letting the needle go to get all of the any twist in the thread out. Where are we at here? I'm doing another piece of work. I was telling you about the scrap. I have an eco dye or eco dye record of what I dyed last year and the labels, and I've made a book out of it, and I'll show you when I'm done. And I had pins all in it, and I've picked it up after a long time of not using it, working on it at all. And watching Catherine do the boro basting, and that whole idea of what do I want to say? Taking the pins out, just basting the fabric and then taking the pins out. And so what I did, so I needed demarcation lines for where spines were and folds were and so forth. Anyways, I have now put thread in as opposed to pins, and oh, the improvement in experience, massive. Okay, so those are the two ends. So we want to, what do we want to do? So this should have been kind of tucked under, and this can be tucked. Not a lot. Not a lot. We want to just go on top. Let's go on top for a while. And then we might be able to just cut that off. Let's try that. Let's try that. Okay. Ah. Okay, good job. Now what do I want to do? It's sort of that. And then stop there maybe. But I'm going to cut this off here. Do a little bit of unfurling. And then see if that, where's my needle? Here. See if the unfurling allows me to do it in stages. So let's like cut that chunk off. I'm just cutting like one strand off at a time so that it tapers, as opposed to cutting all of it and having a hard edge. Okay. I think that's going to do it, because I'm running out of thread. There. And then cut off that little bit. And we're done. So that is week 2 of K3N's Cloth Tales Weekly Slow Stitch. And I will bring this up to the camera so that you can have a look and see what the join looks like. So it looks contiguous. You would have to spend some time figuring it out. And that little plonk there. Might do an extra stitch just to get rid of that. But then there we are. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. I love having thread company. I love having fiber company. I love having people who are doing this with me company. It is so much fun to stitch with other people. Thank you always to K3N for doing this year-long stitch along. I super appreciate it. Love having people to talk to. Love you much. Take care and stay out of trouble. Bye now.